Yeah, so you can see how it's ambient occlusion, and that mesh has a much higher tessellation, so you can see how the ambient occlusion is a lot more accurate, and it's supposed to be a very subtle effect. So the areas with a lot of black are just areas of low tessellation.
Ah, cool. All right, and now what is this? Is this part of the actual coding program? I noticed the red graphic in there was just what we just saw this. So what is that? Is that part of the basically open the hood, look at the engine kind of stuff?
Yeah, so that is actually like the editor for the little engine I was writing back when I was in school, and it's just showing, you know, loading a model and messing with rendering modes and whatnot.
Okay. I'm going to temporarily turn off the other mics because I think someone came in, and then when we're done, I'll open up the mics again and then allow open chat questions from other people. All right. So
okay.
All right, and now is this also the same thing as the other, but just a different type of graphic?
So that is showing a problem with our Maya exporter. You can see the random triangle.
Another crash. Okay.
And,
okay.
Yeah. So,
well, we got to debug, man. That's how you learn, trial and error. Okay, now what is this? What's this? Is this basically the same thing?
Yep. Just another ambient occlusion thing. You can see how in the overhanging areas where, you know, there's not a lot of light naturally can reach those areas, so the ambient occlusion gives it this nice, like, dark highlight, which again, it's a very low tessellation there, so that's why it's, yeah, oh, it's my bad, I keep forgetting about that highlighter. Where is that thing? So,
wait a minute, I might need to turn it on for you. Okay, there you go.
Put a blinking thing. So, yeah. Right, there we go, right here. So you can see how that's basically, you know, like 5 polygons right there, or 5 quads rather, and so it's very low tessellation. That's why it's so dark. But essentially, the idea of ambient occlusion is you can see how, you know, this overhang right here is like blocking these polygons right here, and that's why they're given that darker highlight. You can find a really nice. I'm sorry. You can find, if you look at our GDC demos, you can find a really nice demo that Tim Sweeney showed at GDC that shows our screen space ambient occlusion, and that'll show you some really nice stuff that comes from, you know, high tessellation and full scene ambient occlusion and whatnot.
Cool. So do you have to come across a lot of areas where, like, if you're dealing with artists and things, where your job as programming an engine, you also have to keep in mind the hardware and software and stuff that the games will actually be running on? I think I'm jumping ahead of the interview, but anyway, is that something that you have to also keep in mind?
Yeah, definitely. So when we're producing a game, we have like our target platforms, and, you know, Epic Games in particular, we're very aggressive at making our games look good on those low-end systems, which is very challenging because we pretty much, like, for our day-to-day development, we have like these insane systems that we develop with, and naturally all of us, you know, we love graphics, and so, you know, it's almost like painful to run a low-end system, but you got to recognize that a huge part of the market, you know, is running these lower-end systems, and so we definitely aggressively target them as well as the high-end enthusiasts. And when you're running on a console, you know, you also got to take into account, you know, if I'm writing all this code for the PC, how much of it am I going to be able to reuse for the console? And each console is different than the other console, and so it's very complicated, and a lot of thought goes into, you know, target hardware platforms and how do we want to best, you know, set ourselves up so that we do as little work as possible to have everything run equally on every platform.
Outstanding. All right, so this new picture I just brought up, this new slide, that is basically from this gun, I think this is, and then this is with the textures on it, correct?
Yeah.
Is that right, or something?
And it's got yeah, it's got the textures on it, and then it's also got a green point light, which is what this green highlight stuff right here is. And all that I'm talking about with this random ass junk is that this face right here isn't being lit because it's perpendicular to the light source. And so I was just pointing out that if I could figure out a way to do efficient, you know, 1 or 2 bounce indirect illumination, it would look so much better.
Now, all of this right here that you're talking about right here, this is all part of your portfolio prior to being hired. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is all while I was this is all while I was in school.
Wow, I mean this is some good stuff. I mean this is really good. I think this is the core of what some of our students need to know. Okay, well we're not there yet. Okay, let's jump into some of the photos that. Okay, all right. Now what is this? Now this is this is inside Epic, right? This is where you're actually working now on one of their famous games. So are you working with this, or is this something just a show, or tell me a little bit about this?
So this screenshot is of the new character lighting that will be present in Gears of War 2, and it actually works out a lot better if you look at a screenshot of the old side by side with the new. But I'm actually not directly involved with this. The guy that does most of our lighting stuff is Andrew Scheidecker, who is absolutely brilliant. And but of course he's not the only one. We have a whole bunch of graphics guys that work on this stuff. But definitely we have a whole new way of doing character lighting that is in Unreal Engine 3. Eventually be part of Unreal Engine 3.5 or whatever they call the next iteration of the technology. And this is a screenshot of Marcus Phoenix with the new character lighting, and it's way better than the previous way we were doing things. And again, if you go look at our GDC demo, Tim Sweeney shows the old and the new side by side, and you can really see the difference between the two.
Now, what is that website for the demo that you're talking about?
Oh darn, it's all over the internet. Let me see if I can dig this up right quick.
So they can just do a Google search for Epic Games, and it should pop up, right?
Yeah, for some reason my sharing application thing is grayed out. Oh wait, there it is. Now it's showing up for whatever reason. So
now my aviator, my little graphic dude over here, I think he's more scarier than the one for Epic. I think they should use mine instead of theirs. My guns are bigger too. You know, I got like 4 guns. And he's only got one big giant gun.
Okay, I don't know if you guys.
Anyway, okay, great. Yeah. I see application sharing, but I don't see anything on it.
It's not showing up.
Christopher says he likes mine better than Epic. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Do you actually see this now or no?
Yeah, we see it. It's slowly loading through.
So this is it's at GameTrailers.com if you go there, and the name of it is Epic Games GDC 2008 Unreal Engine Tech Demo HD. And that's
okay.
That presentation will do more justice to what's going on in that picture than anything I could describe to you, just because I'm not directly working on any of that stuff.
Well, that's fine. That's cool. As long as they know, I see the URL there, so as long as they know where to go if they want to see more stuff, and that's really cool. All right. So let me clear this up so it doesn't permanently scar. So yeah, okay. All right. All right. So what is this now? What's this one?
Okay. So again, that's part of the same GDC presentation, and that's showing off our new instancing technology, which allows us to render thousands of animated lit objects on the screen at one time.
It looks really cool. Now, did you do any of the stuff with this?
No, I actually haven't been working on any graphics-related stuff for about 6 months now. The last graphics-related stuff that I personally did had to do with dynamic lighting on terrain foliage, and that was for UT3-related stuff. And since then, I've been working on primarily network code and internal tools.
Ah, okay. Cool. Well, that's cool with the little dudes down there running around. I guess those are enemies, right? Or the heroes? Or
yeah.
I guess the big bad dude, this dude here, goes in there. I'm sure he needs me to help him because, I mean, that's a lot of dudes there, and he's only got 1 gun, and I've got 4. So, okay, cool. Now, what is this stuff here? What's this?
Okay, so
this is
a screen
part of the game engine thing or something, or what?
Yeah, so this is the Unreal Editor, and this is actually like what all of our artists and LDs use to create everything you see in all of our titles. You know, Unreal Tournament 3, Gears of War 2, we do everything in here. And actually, if you go and get Unreal Tournament 3, you get this editor with the game, assuming you buy the PC version.
Oh, okay.
And,
so it's kind of like, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
And that is the exact same tool that all of our guys are using in-house. So, and we just give that away to you with UT3, and you can use that to go make mods and everything. And if you want to get familiar with, you know, like what, you know, Unreal Engine 3 is all about and next-gen technology, I highly recommend that, you know, you pick up a copy of UT3 and take a look at it, because really it's, you know, the professional tool suite, you know, nothing held back, and you get it all right there just by
Paul Jury from Mad Docs. Yeah, Paul Jury from Mad Docs was talking about that too. I've tinkered around with it. I don't have an actual full copy yet, but I agree, it is a really nice engine. So this screenshot right here, this is the U3 right here.
So this is an actual screenshot of the Gears 2 version of Unreal Editor, and which brings me to one thing. So Unreal Editor is like a constant work in progress. So like the version of the Unreal Editor that shipped with UT3 is already like radically different in what is available with Gears 2. And so this screenshot is the actual Gears 2 editor, and this is the static mesh editor. And what is going on here is the level designer is placing fracturable geometry on that pillar. And what that is like when you shoot that pillar with, you know, your machine gun or something, that's where you see all those splits and everything, those are like chunks of concrete and whatnot that can fracture from that pillar and fly off.
Wow. So this is a lot of coding and stuff that's going on into this, right? Or is it fairly simple?
Yeah, it's definitely, Unreal Editor is an extraordinarily complicated tool, and we actually have one guy, Mike Fricker, where like all he does is work on the Unreal Editor. So, and I used to work on that too myself. For UT3, I worked almost exclusively on the Unreal Editor for about 3 months, and it was a lot of fun. I really like working on the editor, and one really cool thing about it, in my opinion, is that it's a tool that a lot of people use, and it also allowed me to work a lot with our artists and our level designers, which to me was a lot of fun, because, you know, they do some really amazing stuff, and that kind of gave me a chance to, you know, peek over the shoulders and see what was going on in their neck of the woods.
Jackie, I hear a new iLab thing here. This is going to be my next request, is we need to get the UE3. But anyway, he's going to love me after this. Okay, cool. So it really looks like a really nice engine that you just go in and do some stuff. Now these, of course, you have your graphics to do the stuff, and then you come in and you can do these little independent things, like you can shoot stuff and blow it off. So it's not just another little graphic showing like a bullet hole that disappears after a while. You can actually have pieces of material within the 3D environment actually ignite and kind of look more realistic. That is very cool.
Yeah,
that
totally.
is definitely leading edge stuff right there. All right, so okay,
yeah, that's
now
it right
this,
there,
of course.
that pillar.
Oh, is it? That's the same pillar. Wow,
yeah.
that's
right, yeah.
That's really cool there. Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, the little pieces there. Yeah, that is really cool. Now I'm going to also allow this some of you, I see some come in a little later. This is actually being recorded, so we'll be able to, you know, log back on and see all this stuff if you don't actually catch it right now. So this is part of the actual game where our hero dude is right here, and he's running in, and this is that pillar of pieces right there. That looks awesome. That is a really cool game. I can't wait to play this game. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's and that's something. So another thing that we do, you know, as we implement these new features, for example, this is new technology that was implemented for Gears 2. This is, you know, available to Unreal Engine 3 licensees like right now. You know, like if you're an Unreal Engine licensee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Yeah, and you know, as we develop new features as they go into the engine, you know, they immediately become available to all of our licensees. So.
Ah, you hear that, Jackie? Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm picking on Jackie right now, but anyway. So okay. So what is this? This is another screen of the editor and coding and stuff. And I noticed our little hero there. That water looks very realistic. I mean, you can see the reflectional part. It almost looks acid-like water, where you can see the reflection. Is that also part of your coding stuff and some new stuff that's going on, or what? Is that also part of UE3?
So again, right, yep. Again, this is another part of our GDC tech demo, and this is showing off our new fluid dynamics, which a lot of hard work went into that from our graphics guys, Nicholas Smedberg and Sam Zamani and Daniel Wright, all those guys down the hall from me. And
yeah, we're going to have to get them in as guest speakers next. All right.
Yeah.
All right,
so
go ahead.
They did a lot of work on our fluid dynamics, and essentially, you know, that's like real-time rendering of water right there. And again, if you watch the our GDC demo, you can see, you know, it moving realistically and lighting realistically and all that good stuff. And it looks absolutely fantastic when you actually see it running on your computer. And those guys put a lot of work into it, and it's some good stuff.
Ah, outstanding. I see. Well, I'm a big Battlefield MMO dude, and you go on there, and some of the graphics for them is just very cheesy compared to this. I mean, my wife would just hate you guys making me just waste more hours of my life playing this kind of game when you made it like this. But outstanding stuff. Oh, okay. Now here we go with I call it the meatloaf square. Now what is this? This is another part of the game with our hero, and he's having meatloaf for dinner. Is that?
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is a big boss or something, right? Huh?
No, not quite. This is just another tech demo again from that same GDC presentation. This is actually one of my favorite ones just because it's hilarious. So on the right you see a meat cube, and this is showing off some of our new physics technology that will be first shown in Gears 2. And so that's a meat cube again, and when you shoot the meat cube it jiggles right around where you're shooting it, and like in the demo you'll see it like fall from the sky and roll down a ramp and stuff, and it jiggles realistically. And then on the left you have this like almost like it looks like a ball of mercury, and so that drops down and it compresses and it bounces and jiggles all around and is, you know, dynamically lit and all that good stuff. And again, this is just a preview of new technology that is available in Unreal Engine 3.
Outstanding, outstanding. All right, and I'm not sure. Okay, so all right, now let's go back. Now we talked a little bit about that. Let's get into some areas what we're doing now in our courses that I'm teaching. As I said, I teach 2 right now, GSP 110, which is basically an introduction, and that's mainly what this is geared towards. And then also 280, which is simulation, and also GSP 260, which is audio and visual, implementing this kinds of stuff. And I've invited basically every student within the GSP section that wants to come in, so it's not necessarily geared towards one specific course, although GSP 110 would be probably the flagger. But anyway, what we're talking about is we're talking about roles and positions within like projects and things like that. And I know you're the one of the game engine programmers. What I wanted to ask you is what is your experience in the levels of the hierarchy of those type of projects? Can you talk a little bit about that so we can kind of understand, you know, you have do you have a CTO, do you have a director, do you have like producer or art director, and all? How does those kind of little things function within each other from your own perspective?
So so at Epic Games, everything's split up into a variety of teams. And now I'm part of the engine team because I'm an engine programmer. And the engine team, essentially all we do is work on the Unreal Engine. And now that isn't to say that we don't touch game code ever, because when we go into crunch and we're trying to get our product out the door, like for example UT3, they'll start moving over engine guys as needed, depending on the demands of the project. But primarily we just focus on the low level Unreal Engine stuff and internal tools and stuff like that. The next level up would be game teams, and now game teams are where you have all like your game programmers, and a game programmer would be anyone who does like artificial intelligence, like weapon systems, anything that would be considered like game logic for a game. And they're also, there with the artists and the level designers and all those guys. And the people who are kind of like running that show are the producers and then the designers. So I guess, for example, for like Gears 2, right? So we got our engine team, we have the Gears 2 team, and then on the Gears 2 team we have like Cliff Bleszinski. He's kind of, like the vision, right, of like Gears of War, and he's the lead designer. And then he works very closely with Rod Ferguson, who is the lead producer on Gears of War. And so the producer is basically like in charge of scheduling, making sure things are getting done on time, that we're hitting our milestones, that we're going to ship on time, stuff like that. And so it's kind of like this love-hate relationship between the designer and the producer, because the designer's full of like grand ideas, and the producer's like, hey, is this going to help us ship on time? And is it marketable and stuff like that. And also, cool. Like, we also have, like, on the Gears team, we have a lead programmer, Ray Davis, who's, like the Gears 2 lead programmer. And so he's kind of in charge of all the game programmers. And so, like, like Ray will work with Cliff and Rod and, coming up with, what do the programmers have to do to, see the designer's vision? What do the artists have to do to see the designer's vision? And then, the producer comes in, are we still going to ship on time? So that's kind of how all that works. And
so
then at the very top of all that,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then at the very top of all that, we have Mike and Mark and Tim, and they're kind of like, the overall vision. Where's the company going? They handle like, marketing, sales, stuff like that. So.
Okay, so basically the person in charge of projects would be a producer. Is that right?
More or less, yeah.
Something like that? Yeah, okay. Well, that's cool. That's right there where I like to be. And then you have under that, you have your artist and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. What if like within a project or something, in the course we've also talked about designing a game idea or a game concept where you have to look for the audience and the equipment that is played on. Is that also a role that you think is very important to look into? And if so, how do you kind of look about that when you're going in to do your job? How do you kind of deal with that?
So as everyone knows, game development it's a business, right? I mean, we love playing games just as much as the next guy, but when it all comes down to it, making a AAA title is, a multi-million-dollar investment. It's a massive production, and it consumes a massive amount of resources. So naturally, when we're going to invest, that amount of time and money into something, we're going to look at the target demographics and, how marketable is this idea? How marketable is the game? What are the hardware platforms you want to target, because what hardware do most people have? And what we look at to figure that out is a whole variety of different resources. Do a lot of research on the internet, just looking at like what people like to play. There's groups out there like MPD Group and whatnot. They're always doing research on what people like to play, what themes sit well with like this demographic of people and whatnot. And then we also have like hardware surveys, and a good example of something like that is what Valve has done with Steam. They actually publish all of their hardware surveys, and so we might be like, all right, and I'm just making up these statistics here. Like, let's say like 80% of people have NVIDIA cards, which isn't the case, and maybe only 20% have ATI. So maybe we want to target NVIDIA more than ATI, or maybe like of the 80% of people that have NVIDIA cards, maybe like 20% have like the really, really high end, and then the other 80 have like the really, really low end. So yeah, we think high end is great, but we're really not going to focus on the low end, because most of the people that are going to play our game would in that case be in the low end. So there's a lot of decision making that goes into deciding, what hardware are we going to target, what like IP do we want to use for our next game? Is it marketable? Are people going to like it? So it's a very complicated process.